Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining me today, joining us. I would love to introduce you to the amazing Lionel Friedberg. Now, the title of this bonus episode is called All Animals Have Souls, Expressing Your Love for Animals Beyond the Home. I'm going to read some of the amazing credits that Lionel Friedberg has for you today, and I have it written down because it's a big list. Emmy Award-winning, Columbus Film Festival Award-winning, and American Association for the Advancement of Sciences Westinghouse Award-winning Lionel Friedberg was born in South Africa. He began his career working in the first television station in Central Africa in Northern Rhodesia, now called Zambia, in 1961. He later photographed 18 feature motion pictures as a director of photography in South Africa, and then expanded his career to directing numerous dramatic TV episodes, as well as writing, photographing, directing scores of documentaries and nonfiction productions. For many years, he was chairman of South African Film and Television Technicians Associations. In 1966, he worked in Canada as a cinematographer with the prestigious National Film Board of Canada in Montreal. After a long and successful career of running his own company as a producer, a writer, cinematographer, and director on a variety of productions in South Africa, he moved to the United States in 1986. And for the past 35 years, he has specialized in documentaries, filming all over the world and winning numerous awards, including a Primetime Emmy Award for the cinematography of a National Geographic Special for PBS. He has worked for the Public Broadcasting System, National Geographic Society, the Discovery Channel, the History Channel, Arts and Entertainment Network, American Movie Classics, and the regional cable networks and stations. He's the author of 3 nonfiction books and is a New York Times and Los Angeles Times best-selling author. His interests include ancient history, cosmology, aviation, classical music, collecting rare motion picture soundtracks, investigations into the nature of human consciousness, and the studies of the paranormal. He is vegan, environmentalist, and supporter of numerous animal rights causes. Welcome, Lionel. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, hi there, and thank you so much. For me, it's a privilege to be on your show. Thank you for having me on.
It's such a great pleasure. So with your wide experience and your vast travels, it sounds to me like you have had a lot of experience with animals. What would you like to share with us today about that?
Well, I've worked on a lot of films to do with animals. In fact, I was senior producer of a series about, when was it? Must have been about 15 years ago, for the Animal Channel, called Growing Up. And Growing Up was a series of shows about baby wild animals that had either been rejected or lost their mothers in the wild. And so they had to be reared and brought up by humans. And there was a walrus, there was a camel, there was a penguin, there was a rhino, a zebra, a giraffe, all sorts of amazing creatures.
Yeah.
One of my favorite was the walrus. There was this little walrus that was found floating in the ocean off Alaska. His mother, they named him Nereus after the Greek god, because his mother obviously had either been killed by a ship or something like that. But anyway, they found it.
Yeah.
And the only place where they could rear him was in the zoo in Iowa. And he became one of my favorite creatures because this little guy grew into a gigantic, sea creature. And he was just absolutely amazing. I loved him so much. And he would recognize me when I went back to the zoo regularly to film. He knew who I was. There was a lynx in the San Diego Zoo, whose name was Kisa. And Kisa actually knew me. And, she was a wild cat. And I used to go down there, and of course they wouldn't let anyone in the cage. But when Kisa saw me, she would come running up, and they actually let me into the cage with her, and she would hug me, So
wow.
I've had an extraordinary run of lots of experiences with animals, but let's just go back in time a little bit, and that is to my childhood, which was
Yes,
in South Africa. You know,
please.
I grew up in the area which is basically where Johannesburg is, and
Mhm.
so I had access to wild Africa as well as, you know, very much a Western environment, which is, you know, Johannesburg is just like any, you know, American city. You know, we saw.
Mhm.
And but within 3 or 4 hours you could drive into the wildness of Africa, and you
Mhm.
could meet face to face in the wild elephants and lions and leopards and rhinos, in the days that there were still lots of rhinos running around, which unfortunately is no longer the
Yeah.
case. So I was exposed also to wildlife, and my mother was an animal lover. She grew up on a farm in South Africa,
Mm.
and she had a pet horse. She would sleep with this horse in her bed, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And so my mother introduced me, you know, she was the one who was the catalyst behind my absolute love of animals. And so, you know, as my career unfolded, I had this wonderful experience of working on movies with lots of horses, you know, historical films. But there's the series for Animal Planet. And, you know, when I did the National Geographic show, which you mentioned in the intro,
Yeah.
was it was looking at caves in the history of humanity. And
Mhm.
there's so much wildlife down in caves, you know,
Mm.
bats and blind worms and blind salamanders, absolutely fascinating, you know. And I've had the wonderful experience and the privilege of going snorkeling in the most extraordinary places off the coast of Bali. I mean, it's this underwater
Mm.
world. So, you know, every time I see a critter, be it in the sky, on the land, under the water, whatever, you know, I feel a connection with them. I did a
Mm.
series down in the Antarctic, and we were surrounded by a pod of whales. And these whales,
Mm.
these are big, big white sperm whales, and
Mhm.
they would come diving up, you know, next to the ship. I think the term is breach. They would come up
Yes.
and then fall, bam, you know. And every time you looked into their faces, into
Mm.
their eyes, you're seeing intelligence, and you're seeing
Yes.
antiquity, and you're seeing deep history, you know. Um,
Mhm.
every single animal, I am absolutely convinced, you know, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers would share this view, we
Mhm.
all have souls, as do they.
Yes.
And I feel a connection with all of them, you know. So I just love them. I've been around them all my life, and I continue to adore them. I have a
Mhm.
backyard here in Los Angeles where I live, where I have opossums, and I have raccoons, and I
Mhm.
have squirrels. It drives my wife absolutely crazy, but I feed everybody. I have all kinds of wonderful birds. They're
And do
birds.
you have pets at home too, Lionel?
There's a cat inside. There's one
Oh.
cat. She's my kitty cat. And the extraordinary thing about this cat, let me just tell you a little story about her name.
Yes, please.
Her name is Snooky. She's beautiful, but
Spooky?
Snooky,
Oh,
as
Snooky. Okay.
yeah.
Snooky.
uh,
Okay.
she's become an old lady now, but so she's sort of, you know, she's not as frisky as she used to be. But here's the amazing thing: we used to have a feral cat that lived in the backyard, and when my daughter was still at home, she adored this cat, but my wife
Mhm.
wouldn't let her into the house because we had two spaniels, and you know,
Okay.
that was their territory. So you know, but Amanda, my daughter, used to let her into her bedroom at night. You know, I would
Oh.
hear the cat sit outside and go meow, and I would hear the window open, and Amanda let her in, and she slept on her bed. And before anyone woke up in the morning, particularly her mother, you know, she would let the cat out, right?
Oh
And
my gosh.
this cat lived with us for 18 years
Mhm.
until she got really ill. And
Mm.
eventually she lost her sight, and she couldn't walk anymore. And
Oh.
unfortunately, we had to put her down. I took her to the vet, and the vet said, you know, there's nothing we can do for her,
Yeah.
and she's suffering. So to put her out of her misery, they put her down. We were all absolutely in sheer unadulterated misery.
Yes.
And I lit a candle for her. And that night, outside the glass door of our patio downstairs that very same night was sitting this very, very cute cat, and that was Snooky. She was sent to us.
Oh
And,
my gosh, I'm crying.
and
Okay.
I said,
That's
I said to
beautiful.
my wife, look there, the cat god knew we needed another cat.
Yes.
And my wife said, yeah, but she stays outside. Well, I didn't tell
Famous
my wife.
last words.
Yeah, she went to bed, my wife, and I opened the door and the cat came inside. I was going to let her out. I wasn't going to let her stay in the house, but she ran into the house and I couldn't find her, right?
Whoops.
And so, of course, I closed the door. I couldn't find the cat anywhere. And the next morning, I went looking for her and I heard mew, mew, mew. She delivered 6 babies under a table in the living room.
Oh my God. Wow, what a gift.
I said to my wife, I said, okay, and I knew this wonderful woman who gives away, finds homes for kittens. She runs an organization, I'm not sure if she's still around. She ran an organization called CATS, CATS, which stood for Cats at the Studios. And she would go to the movie studios here in LA. There are lots of movie studios with cats, and they're full of cats, you know. And she would go to these studios, feed them, find them homes, whatever else. So I called her up and I said, I've got 6 babies for you. But I said, this female, this mother, she's not leaving the house. She stays. And she's been with us now for about 18 years or so. And she's,
oh my gosh,
she's just been amazing. But she was sent to us, you know. Somebody there knew we needed her, you know.
Yes.
She arrived. It was amazing.
Yes. That's a beautiful gift and absolutely perfect timing for her as well.
Yeah. So,
and her babies.
Of course, there was one little baby that I really wanted to keep. I named him Rufus. He had this big fluffy face. He looked like an old man sitting in a British club. All he needed was a pipe and a glass of port. You know, he looked like that. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I found him a very good home. But Snooky's been with me, and she is my soulmate.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I love that when you and I first connected at what is the email? What's on the bottom of your email signature about a cat?
Yeah, it says, a cat completes a home.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
As soon as I read that, I was like, yes, we're in. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Spirit. This is the person we need right now.
You know, I think every home needs an animal, but for me, a cat is a very, very special energy. There's a reason why the Egyptians worship them. There's a reason why the Egyptians embalmed them. I have no idea what the mystery of the cat is. I don't think anyone does, because cats are very, very mysterious, and they're intriguing and amazing, and everyone has a completely different personality. I've never met 2 cats who's had the same personality ever in all my years on this planet. They're all totally different.
Agreed. Yeah. And it's my understanding that we connect with the spirit of the animal that most resonates with us. It's like we're like magnets to each other. Our personalities we can't avoid each other.
Yes, absolutely. We totally are. Yeah. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about, obviously, everybody who's listening to you today, and you and I as well, we all love animals. And I wanted to talk to you today about what can we do beyond the home? What suggestions do you have beyond the home to express our love for animals, beyond our cats, dogs, and horses that we care for on a daily basis? What does that look like?
Well, here's the thing. And this might be controversial to some folks. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I find it very difficult to reconcile the fact that some people love animals but eat other ones. That makes absolutely no sense to me at all. I mean, I just can't. I became a vegetarian when I was a long time ago, but I've been vegan now for over 20 years because I cannot conceive of eating another creature. I just cannot do that. In fact, I'm now so totally into this vegan world that I don't even wear leather anymore. Absolutely not. Okay, that was some animal skin. We've got to start extending our embracing of the animal kingdom to beyond our pets and the animals that we have a direct relationship with, whether it's a horse or a cat or a goldfish. It doesn't matter. we need
Hmm.
to treat them a little more respectfully. And I think it's
Hmm.
time to stop eating them, and I wish
Hmm.
people would recognize that. And particularly in this day and age, where there is absolutely no question that the climate is changing catastrophically on this planet.
Hmm.
And one of the first things that we can do to to not reverse, but to halt this thing from getting worse, is to stop this massive animal agricultural
Right. Excuse
which
me.
is so destructive to the environment.
Hmm.
We need land to grow soybeans. Why do we grow so many soybeans? Why are they burning down the rainforests in the Amazon? Not to feed humans the protein that
Hmm.
you get from the soybeans, but to feed it to livestock, which makes no
Right.
sense at all.
Right.
You know.
And that's not something that livestock generally would eat in the wild. And so that causes diseases and issues in the animals. And then the people eat them. And then we are, as you said, paying the price. The last time you and I spoke, we were paying the price.
Yeah.
And I think the message that you carry and that I totally resonate with today is really to ask the viewers to just think about what you're doing on a wider perspective. Really take inventory. You say you're an animal lover. What are you eating? How are you treating the other animals on the planet? What could you possibly do to make a difference? And every single drop makes a difference. Every drop makes a difference, and every person can make a difference. We can all love animals on so many levels, and it's maybe different for everyone. But if you must eat meat, would you recommend maybe they find a local farm where the animals are treated humanely and given love? Thinking about perhaps the lives and the respect that they are given or are not given. How do you feel about that?
Well, for me, that just doesn't work. If we're going to kill the animal, there's
Hmm.
something inherently wrong with the system.
Right.
And we really don't need to eat animals in order to be healthy. We don't need
Right.
that as a source of food. We don't need that anymore.
Hmm.
And particularly today, there are so many alternatives. And I totally get
There
it.
are.
I understand for people it's hard. And
Sure.
one of the most difficult things, by the way, when I became a vegetarian, or when I became vegan, was cheese. Oh my God, I thought, how am I going to live without cheese? Because
Me too.
cheese is good stuff, right?
It's
There,
addicting.
there
Hmm.
are so many alternatives today,
There
vegan
are.
cheeses, that satisfy that craving. And the
Hmm.
same applies to seafood, and the same applies to, there are great burgers. Now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention
Go
names
for it.
of products, but the Impossible Burger and
Mhm.
Beyond Burger are two of the best burgers available nationwide.
Mhm.
And in fact, Beyond Burger now is even made in Europe, so it's now going around the world. It's an American.
Awesome. Hmm.
And so folks who are trying to give up eating meat, because I understand if you brought up eating meat as I was as
Me
a
too.
child, there
Hmm.
comes a time when you turn the corner and you say, but I crave it. Well, some people say, all right, I'll do it occasionally because I can't deal with this incredible
Hmm.
craving that I have. But you can, because go and get one of these vegan burgers. They are just as tasty, just
Yeah.
as fulfilling, just as satisfying, and they give you that hit that you need. When you take your burger or your steak, they do it for you.
It's
And
the texture. Hmm.
yeah, and I mean, Beyond Burger, even when you cut it, there's a little red stuff that flows out of there, so which
Pomegranate. It's pomegranate
it,
juice.
it's beet actually.
It was beet. I think. Well, I don't know where.
Have they
I know you're
changed
out
it
in
for that?
California, but I just read it 2 weeks ago. It said pomegranate. I thought it was beet too. So I don't
Yeah,
know if they've changed it or if it's different in manufacturers.
yeah.
And how about, because I'm vegan as well, and I have my favorites too. What's like your favorite dairy alternative for cheese, for
Uh,
example? Because you mentioned cheese.
there are lots of brand names, and the one that I started with, and it's still around, and now they make so many varieties, is Daiya,
Hmm.
Daiya. I like
Yep.
that, but there's some very fancy ones.
Sure.
You can get all kinds of cheeses today, from Parmesan to Gruyere, and
Hmm.
they're vegan,
Yeah.
and some of them are made by very specialized little boutiques who make this stuff.
Uh-huh.
Particularly here in California, where you can get anything and everything.
Yeah.
It's a crazy state, so people do things, weird things,
Hmm.
and you can get it. But nationwide, you can get this wonderful Daiya cheese. It's just fantastic. And you can get it
Hmm.
at any supermarket today, certainly all
Hmm.
over here in California. I have friends who come out and they say, oh my God, we're vegan and where we live, and they're talking about London and they're talking about here, there, and
Oh, uh-huh.
and they say, but we can go into any supermarket down the road and we find a whole vegan, variety, a whole vegan section.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we've become enlightened. It's available, it's there.
Hmm.
It may not be everywhere, but here in California, in LA, it certainly is. And here's another thing, and very, very interesting is, we now have in this town where I live in LA, which is a crazy place,
Hmm.
but we have over 100 dedicated vegan restaurants,
That's beautiful.
only vegan. And then, of
Hmm.
course, there are so many other restaurants that offer vegan options on the menu as well. But, we have 100 dedicated vegan restaurants, which is terrific. Right
Hmm.
across the way from the music center, people have heard about Walt Disney Hall and the LA Philharmonic.
Yeah.
Across the road from there is one of the best vegan restaurants that I've ever been to, right there.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, if
Oh,
folks love animals, guys, all I can say is try not to eat them and talk
yeah.
to their lives are miserable. Don't do that. You don't need to
Hmm.
do that. Respect
Yeah.
them, you wouldn't eat your brother or your sister. Why eat an animal?
Right. I agree. And we are on the grand scope of things, we are all brothers and sisters in the land of spirit. And
We
I
certainly.
think if more people met more farm animals and
Mhm.
learned their personalities, I mean, maybe people can start volunteering at farms, helping clean up and helping learn the personalities and really appreciating that. I
Yeah.
recently started working on a horse rescue,
Ah,
and the horses are amazing. And they also just rescued a calf, a
yeah.
little cow, and he is the smartest. He is like joy in it, like in this tiny little furry body. He's so
Absolutely.
happy and so smart, loves
Yeah.
to play with balls, he loves to be brushed.
Yeah.
And he was rescued from a meat auction, and
Yeah.
he was tiny. He was really small when he was rescued.
Mhm.
And that's something that I would love for people to really think about when they're choosing their diet. And I really appreciate and honor that you are bringing that up, just based on your experience with animals all over the world, and
Mhm.
loving their souls and appreciating them for the personalities and beautiful beings that they truly are.
They are indeed.
Is there anything that you would like to add before we close up? First of all, I want to ask you, Lionel, how can people find you? What is your website? I'll make sure I put it on the bottom of the
Yes,
video as
sure.
well.
Absolutely. It's my name. It's Lionel Friedberg, one word. So if you're going to put it on the screen, I won't spell it
I
out.
will. Hmm.
So it's www.lionelfriedberg.com. And folks can go to my website there, and that'll also take them to my author's Facebook page, as well as
Hmm.
my Twitter and my Instagram. It's all available from my website. I have
Beautiful. And
another.
are your books? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the books are on there as well. Yes, absolutely.
That's what I wanted to know. And for those of you who are watching, I'm also going to include a link below this video, so you can just click on it so you don't have to type, but I do want to give you the visual as well on the video. Lionel, is there anything that you would like to add before we close up?
I would just say to people, we are all one. We are all connected. Well, this is what I've learned over many, many years working in ethnographic films, science films, you name it. I did a series called Beyond Death about people who've had near-death experiences. I mean,
Yes.
on and on and on and on. And I know that we are all connected, not just you and I do feel a very strong connection with you, but I'm sure with all of your viewers as well, that we're all connected, be it the squirrel outside my window right now, or
Mhm.
the animals on the farm, or the wildlife. We are
Yeah.
all connected. And as long as we respect that and respect one another, we can make a better world for ourselves. And if folks, really, you say one of the things that we could do is to, go and work on a farm. It's actually even simpler than that. Just go out into the wild, get out of
Yes.
the city, put that electronic device down, get into the
Mm.
car, drive out of the
Love it.
city, go and walk in the mountains, smell the pine trees, look at the
Hmm.
rivers, connect and listen to the birds. I mean, the birds are the best music on the planet are the sounds that wildlife makes.
Hmm.
And, if you can absorb this, and the most important thing is to expose children to that. It'll give them a
Yes.
respect for nature. And when we have a respect for nature, then we will have a respect for one another. And that translates to humans, to animals, to everything. And
That is so beautiful.
and
Yes, and I hold that vision too. And I hope everyone who is watching this, first of all, take a few moments, close your eyes, and just envision a world where not only is humanity recognize each other as one, but the animal kingdom as well. We are all related and we are all connected with love. And I forget what my second point was. I guess it wasn't important.
Well, let's just wish everyone well on their journeys, and continue to love your animals, and let's just with one another. And I wish everybody the very, very best. These are troubling times, and your love of animals actually makes the world such a better place. My go-to place, I turn off the news, I go to my cat, she purrs. There's nothing that calms me like the sound of my cat purring.
Beautiful.
Isn't that true?
That is so true. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, I have 2 kitties at home myself. Yeah. Lionel, thank you so much for bringing your energy and your experience and everything that you have taught us today. I really appreciate and honor your time. Thank you so much. For all of you who would like to connect with Lionel and his work, please check out the link below this video and you will find everything you need on Lionel Friedberg. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care, my friend.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.